Warning, this content is for entertainment and educational purposes only. This video is brought to you by First Detachment Nutrition. Battle tested, expert formulated. Use discount code AB10 at checkout for 10% off. What's up, everybody?
What's happening, everyone?
I was a little worried there for a second. I didn't see anybody on. I thought maybe I screwed it up. I did a live stream. I launched my members only site for those of you guys that want to get in on it. The Team Anabolic Bodybuilding. I did a live stream earlier this week, and I had sent it out to my members, and I'm like, why is nobody on this? So I just went ahead and did it anyway, and I realized I sent the wrong fucking link out to everybody. So I was on there doing it by myself. Yeah, I wanted to make sure I didn't screw that up again.
That's all good.
Yeah, that was
member site's pretty dope. I mean, I've been on there so far a little bit, and hey, you're doing a great job with it. It's exciting. It's more than just a little educational. You get a good group of guys on there, and it's social as well, and getting to know some people and see their journeys. It's cool. It's well put together too. It's not it's not hard to navigate, and a lot of info. You just keep plugging away, putting it up.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this, wanting to do this for a while. It's just one of those things I just haven't had time. But I really miss the old days of like the forums and the camaraderie we had on there. I also wanted to do some, I get a lot of people ask me questions, and it's just impossible to answer everybody that DMs me on Instagram. So I just wanted a place where we could have people come in, and I can give people access to ask questions, and then also put content up. Like there's, we know there's shit I can't talk about on here. Yeah. So,
nice thing is you got people directly asking questions, and you're able to get like a thorough breakdown. Like you had one on, blood work. A lot of people are asking, kind of getting more in depth.
Yeah.
Bottom up, and
I should. Oh, there's Amy, all in her. Backstage Amy.
Oh, okay.
Look at you, all dialed up. What's going on, Amy? Can you hear us? I don't think she can hear us. And here's Justin Harris. No clever names today, Justin.
No, I got a new name though. Troponin Supplements.
Yeah, that's right. Got the shirt on, man. So that's exciting news. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, so I owned the whole story is I originally owned with a guy in the military, and we brokered a buyout for him, a year and a half ago, 18 months ago, and then my new partner bought in. I got just over the last year, they wanted to take more of a mainstream approach, which I didn't really agree with. I think there's a big enough market in the hardcore bodybuilding for a small company like us. I mean, obviously, to become a $100 million company, you got to go mainstream, but we're nowhere near that. So I didn't really agree with all the path we were going, and I kind of stepped away from a lot of the day-to-day stuff late last year. I mean, I did all the formulation stuff and new product development, but opportunity presented itself for me to buy my partner out, and so I did. So now I own the company outright. So I finally get to do my vision, my beliefs, and I'm real excited about it.
Oh, that's great.
So you get to be a meathead product company.
Yes, that's yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna, that's what I want to do. That's what I am. I'm not going to try to go mainstream. I mean, if in 15 years there's no choice but to go mainstream because we've outgrown hardcore bodybuilding, great. But at this point, my focus is going to be on the sport I love.
Yeah.
Well, there are millions and millions of bodybuilders. I mean, it's just like you go to shows, man. You see how many fucking dudes show up at shows. It's crazy, man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the nice thing is Justin's products, so like you say, it's kind of nice and refreshing. They're literally targeted to us hardcore bodybuilders, stuff like your suppressor. I mean, I haven't had a GDA that works as good as yours. And I've really tried them all, to be honest, at this point.
Well, and that's honestly kind of the other problem with trying to push a wider audience is like we're not our pre-workout is not going to compete with the C4 that's got 120 milligrams of caffeine and hardly any ingredients. We got 10 grams of L-citrulline. We got lots of caffeine, teacrine, which is expensive. So it's like we can't. Our margins are nowhere near. Even at our prices, which will be higher, they're not going to be. So we need to market to people who care about what's in the supplements, not what the branding is or the fact that it's cheap.
Yeah.
I always tell people about QRF. My ALT and AST from running at 200 milligrams of Winstrol were close to 200 after the show, even just for 10 days of it. And 3 weeks of running the QRF, it was back down in the 30s.
Mine's not. QRF keeps my liver's never high. I mean, I don't do orals or anything really, but even that normal like post training elevation that you typically always get, and I'd always be 40 or 50, because I wouldn't take days off before getting blood work. But I'm now 30s to 40s.
Yeah, me too, man. So what else is going on, Justin?
Nothing. I don't know. My face is sunk in. You can see I barely slept the last week. But,
a forced contest prep.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. It was just trying to redo the website. Because it's not like we had really time to prepare. The buyout happened, and then the next morning I was, driving across state picking up product in U-Hauls and then my partner had sent an email to our email. I kind of wanted to do a slow rollout and give myself time to build the website on the back end before I published it. Get the new, because I did new labels. I did all the graphic design work for our labels, all the web design, all the everything. And I was hoping to spend a couple weeks doing that on the back end before I published. But my partner announced that he left the company on our email list, which is fine. But I just wasn't quite prepared for that because. You kind of want to do the rebranding at once, and so basically we kind of did because I just worked straight through the night. So I worked all day Saturday, straight through the night Saturday, and then all day Sunday until like 4 or 5 in the morning the next. It was like a 40-hour straight just marathon graphics and Adobe Illustrator stuff. But I'm sure there's some things still, pop-ups or workflows or something that'll pop up with the wrong wording and wrong colors, but I think we're fully rebranded.
That's a lot of work, man.
Yeah. And actually, I'm surprised there's been as much interest because we haven't really done any push to announce it or anything, but I've got a ton of people messaging me, and I don't even know if I should say this, but actually a film company contacted me about doing a 2 or 3 part documentary on the rebranding. Someone in the executive team is a fan of the sport. That's and cool. They just must have, maybe they followed me or something. I would say probably.
I saw you in that mesh shirt, and they were like, "I need this guy."
Well, I would say probably, approximately 0% chance anything comes of it. But it was pretty interesting having a meeting with them.
That's awesome, man.
Let me see if we can get Amy in here. Amy, can you hear us, Amy?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. All right, we finally got the
up?
technical show day. How's it going?
Good. I probably won't go on for at least another hour, so this is awesome that I can hang out with you guys until then.
Yeah.
How's the show so far? Everything running smooth? It seemed like.
Yeah, it is. It's running really smoothly. They're running through things really quickly, and the tanning is super efficient. So it seems like it's going really, really well.
Awesome.
Just don't need that person that misses the call out. There's always like 1 or 2 backstage that got their headphones on, and they're like, number 54, number 54.
I'm 107. If we hear 107, but I'm literally the last person. There's only 4 women in my class, so when there's 4 of us left, I know that it's my turn.
Yeah, because you're in the super tall class.
Save the best for last, right?
I measured in yesterday at 5'11", and I was super excited because usually I shrink during prep. When she said 5'11", I literally cheered. Yes, maintains my height.
Taller than the average bodybuilder.
Yes, by a lot.
In men measurement units, that's actually 6'2".
Oh, it's at least 6'3", Helen. Let's be fair.
Yeah, there are no 5'10" or 5'11" men.
It's so tall. Like I don't know how they fit in the Mini Cooper.
Oh, I used to crack up when I used to, like when I'd bounce in college, and you see guys, they give you their ID, and every guy was 6 foot. There'd be guys this tall. Like, come on, dude. No one's gonna look at your license.
Oh man, I don't want to show you my license right now, Justin.
We
We don't need to talk about it.
I think mine does too.
The amount
The
of
height and weight is accurate. I can tell you that much right now.
the amount of women that I have talked to that complain about Bumble dates, saying they're 6'2" and they show up at 5'10".
Yeah. Well, the real question is, though, how tall are those women? I mean, if you're 5'4" and complaining that a guy is 5'10", it's not really the same as me thinking a guy's going to be 6'2" and they're 5'10".
I know there was a. I've talked about it before, but there was a leak. I think it was Bumble. I don't know. There was a data leak. Somebody leaked their database, but like the swipe percentages on guys that were under 6 foot and made less than 100 grand a year was like almost zero.
Yeah.
Like, basically, if you wanted a date, you got to be over 6 foot and make 100K plus, or you're screwed.
I've never had
People
that
say
problem.
natural selection isn't still around, but if you look at it that way, it kind of is. We're all going to be a very wealthy, tall society in a couple hundred years.
Tall doesn't always equal tall, though. I mean, tall came from short people.
That's true. I definitely came from short people.
How tall was the mailman?
That's my mom. I don't know. She should tell you. Yeah, both of my parents are 5'6". It's hilarious, man.
Oh, wild.
Yeah, I don't know where the fuck I came from. My dad was like super skinny too, growing up. I guess that's where I get the metabolism from. My dad would live off of moon pies and McDonald's, and he always had a 6-pack when I was growing up.
My dad got into the aerobics with my mom once when I was in the 80s when I was a kid, and he got down to like 220 pounds, and he looked like a bobblehead doll. So he's got a huge frame.
Well, you got a big frame too, man. Like, we're
the same. Yeah, we look the same.
I think 250 is kind of like your default mode, isn't it?
Yeah, it's tough to get below that. Yeah, I mean, I was 253 this morning when I worked out. I thought for sure I'd be in the 240s because I had barely been eating. But
my body just wants to go back to being 185. That's like, it just fights me. I was telling the guys before we got on here, I was half scared to get on the scale because I'd just been eating like shit the last week and a half. Mm-hmm. And I weighed in at 249.8 at the show. I jumped on the scale yesterday morning, 249.8. I haven't fucking changed.
Oh my god.
I don't know how that happens. I always end up eating less and then eating trashier food. That's my problem. I get my weight. I either lose weight or stay the same weight and get fatter at the same time. Yeah. That's my genetic gift. I did bring my McDonald's cherry after the show. I had some McDoubles and a McFlurry this past week.
I used to love. I can't anymore because I have celiac. But to get 2 double cheeseburgers and turn it into quadruple cheeseburgers, that was the best thing. I still have dreams about that because that was when they were 99 cents or the dollar menu.
Yeah.
And for $4, you could get 8 patties on 2 buns.
That was Justin's moment of zen.
Yeah,
The stress of the world and the sounds and the light just
away
faded away. Yeah, it was just him and that quadruple
your arteries
burger.
are too clogged with no blood flow gets to the brain anymore. Your carotids are blocked for a few moments.
I remember when Dante trained me, that was his trick post-workout. He was like, go to McDonald's. I think it was 4 double cheeseburgers, get a large milkshake, and put a scoop of his protein in it.
My buddy and I in high school, because we knew nothing, we just heard that you needed to eat big to get big, and so we only cared about calories. And so we would literally, if we went to like 7-Eleven to get just something stupid, we would, whatever we were looking, we'd find the one that had the most calories in each section. But our post-workout meal for the longest time was we go to Coney Island, get 4 Coney dogs, a large Coney fry, and then a large orange high C. And I didn't even like orange high C. It just had the most calories.
Oh,
and it worked about as well as you could think. We gained a lot of weight, but I don't know that any of it was muscle.
Do you remember those mass gainer shakes back in the late 90s, early 2000s?
Yeah. You remember the Russian Bear? The Russian Bear cracked me up because it was Russian Bear 5000 But if you looked at the serving to get 5,000 calories, you had to mix it with a gallon of whole milk. I was like, isn't a gallon of whole milk like 4,000?
Yeah. If you remember Justin, like I actually started a supplement company after I got indicted. I wanted to do something legal, so I actually started a supplement company. And like what you were talking about, Paul, like back in the day, like our protein powder used to just taste like chalk, and we didn't care because we needed the protein, and we just took it just because of what was in it. Like you were saying, Justin, like we needed the nutrients, we needed the protein, we didn't care what it tastes like. When I started the supplement company, the first thing everybody says now is, "Oh, this one tastes great. This one tastes like this." It's like, who gives a shit what it tastes like? Like we used to eat chalk. And
that's what when we go through flavor testing. When we go through flavor testing, that's what my thought is. Does it make you throw up? If it doesn't, then let's it just. But it's probably done. It's a hard market. You're not going to market to mainstream, but
it's tough. You're going to see in the market that's the first thing everybody says. Oh, this one tastes like. I mean, I'm like, really? Who cares what it tastes like?
What somebody should do is like do what that company Ghost did with the energy drinks. Was it you, Justin, who was telling me about how that worked?
No, I was telling you.
You were telling Paul was telling me about that. Do that with protein powders.
I heard Alex Hormozy talking about that, like where some of these candy companies, like they have like open patents. You just have to pay them a percentage of what you make off of it to use their flavors. Mm-hmm. So that, like, I thought that was interesting. That's how Ghost got started.
All those chuckleheads who like to buy like muscle milk and shit. You buy some fucking. Those are the people who would buy like Hershey's cookies and cream protein powder. I want that one.
God, I remember some of the dumb shit we would do back in the 90s. Like, I would get straight powdered milk, and mix it up. We used to get. Did you do the baby food post workout too?
Oh yeah. That was like the Weeder magazines or something were big on that. Everyone thought that was like there's anything special about sweet potatoes that just have zero seasoning in it.
Get jars of I remember dudes sitting in the gym eating jars of baby food post workout in their Zuba ass pants.
Yeah,
Zuba. Yeah. No, we do the powder milk because you'd be like, well, geez, whatever we added to, we doubled. We add more calories to it.
The farts were epic back then.
Yeah, it's still smelling. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Canned tuna. Oh my god. I used to do canned tuna and ramen noodles. That was another one.
Oh man, when I was in
mayonnaise.
College,
with mayonnaise.
I'd be farting like a fucking Harley Davidson engine at idle. just like.
Yeah, I saw a video the other day of how ramen noodles are made. And you'll never eat them again. It's always, it spoils it when people show those videos of like how hot dogs are made or how certain food.
Video of how it's made. They just show someone taking a shit into a bag of wheat or something.
Yeah, most people don't realize the ramen noodles are literally like brown. They're like blackish tar brown, and they color
they bleach
paste
them
or whatever. Yeah, disgusting.
Yeah, we used to get those. We get 2 packs. I remember I used to do this. I'd get 2 packs of those, put some mayonnaise in it for extra calories, and then mix a can of Bumblebee tuna in with it with the flavor packets. I don't know if I must have been having like 8,000 milligrams of sodium in one meal.
Much. Yeah. So much.
I still can't do tuna. Well, my buddy and I in college, we had like $50 a month like food budget. We buy those. You can get the rice sacks that are like in a burlap bag. It's like 10 pounds, just straight right from the field. Those were dirt cheap. And then we'd get tuna, but there'd always be because in a lot of college towns there'd be like a kind of the crappy grocery store where a lot of the cans don't have labels anymore. They got peeled off or the cans are dented, and there'd be that section for tuna. It'd be 33 cents a can, so we'd load up on those. And then I remember we get a big tub of tapioca pudding. So when we'd eat the nasty tuna and the nasty rice, then we'd take a spoon of tapioca pudding to choke it down with.
Oh my god!
Mark is talking about hot stuff. You
remember that hot stuff?
Oh yeah,
I remember that.
You know, it tastes like licorice.
Everybody, like it must have been in some magazine or something because all of the high school kids. I was in high school at the time. Everybody wanted hot stuff.
Is that a protein?
It was a mix of.
It was a pre-workout, wasn't it?
It was a mix of just weird stuff. I think what I always heard the rumor was the original batches had D-ball in it, and then so people bought it the very first couple batches or whatever, and it worked like D-ball works. But if you, it was like what were some of those boron? What's the weird compounds like that? I think it had amino acids.
The anabolic activator.
They borrowed the font from like a 70s porno.
Jackie Brown.
I found that stuffed in the back of my dad's closet when I was a kid, I think. Hot stuff.
The anabolic activator. Oh man, some of the ridiculous shit that we would do.
The very first protein powder I ever bought would have been maybe 93 or 94, and it wasn't. It was who knows what brand it was, but I got it in GNC, and I remember I put it in the glass. And where there was water, and I stirred it, and it said, it like emphasized stir vigorously. And so I stirred as hard as I could. I put the spoon down, and as it was coming to my mouth, it all conglomerated into just this light brown, like gooey chunk. And it got into my mouth, and it tasted like what I imagined a glob of semen is. And like it was, oh God, it's 14 years old, thrown up in the kitchen sink. My mom's at the table eating breakfast.
Yeah.
It was the trash they were throwing away when they made cheese.
Oh, God, it was so. I still think about that sometimes. I could see it form into that mass as it was coming towards my mouth.
I remember how expensive that shit was. I remember working like in the early 90s and like saving up my money to buy a $50 jug of protein powder.
Remember how much creatine was? Like creatine was really expensive in the 90s.
When the heyday of creatine, and there'd be all the different formulations, and people would blow their money on that.
Like one of the things, like when I first started selling steroids, was the first thing I said is, this is all going to work 20 times better than any of the supplements you buy, and it's going to cost 1/10 of the price because all that shit was so expensive.
Oh man. Does anyone remember? It would have been late 90s, maybe 2000. I think it was Biotech Labs. I think they were T Nation yellow labeling, but they had a GH product. And it was like $300 for 20 servings or something absurd. And I remember you drop these 2 Alka-Seltzer tablets in a cup of water, and it would tell you to do it at 3 a.m. So like an idiot, I'm like a junior in college. I'd set my alarm for 3 in the morning to take this crap that was probably just Alka-Seltzer that I paid, my 90% of my income for the month for, and it didn't work like GH.
Oh my God, that's really funny. I do remember that.
I think they still sell this stuff.
Yeah, I do remember that. Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Yeah, the crazy shit we used to do back in the day.
They mentioned Jack 3D. Oh, they mentioned Jack 3D down here. That was like the first popular stuff that had DMAA in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and everybody was like, I don't know. It became banned not too long after Jack 3D.
Yeah, I used to use that all the time after work. I'd be, landscaping 7 days a week, dog tired at the end of the day, and still have to hit the gym. Yep. You take that, and it was literally like,
you wouldn't be tired anymore.
Yeah,
no,
you wouldn't get any blood flow to your fingertips, but you'd be awake.
Yeah.
Is this what you're talking about, Jack 3D?
Yeah.
Yeah. University studied.
You had like 1,3-dimethylene or something like that.
Yeah.
I think a couple
the very first time I went to GNC, what's it? Wow, man, the date rape drug.
GHB.
GHB was still, they had some on the shelves still. That was like 93.
Yeah, I remember that.
It had been banned, but they were still selling out. And I had no idea, I was just asking the guy what all the products were. And, he's like, this is for sleep. I think he told me it would raise your growth hormone.
Yeah. So all the bodybuilders were taking this GHB. And I mean, it's easy to overdose on.
Oh, man. Do you remember the Nubaine years? Remember when everyone was using Nubaine? In the late 90s, early 2000s?
Oh, man, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, to help your workouts. Everyone was like on...
Well, if you're numb enough, you can't feel anything, so you can definitely go harder. rip your tendons off. Hey, it's all good.
Yeah, that was a weird round. There's like a 3-year stretch where all of bodybuilding was doing heroin, basically.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. A lot of these products now have so much... I realize as I get older, I can't handle the stimulants like when I was... younger, but it seems like as time goes on, they just get stronger and stronger. It's like I don't know where they're going to stop with just even caffeine. 400 milligrams is.
It's going to be a new ingredient, and I know the ingredient because I'm coming out with it.
Dave, you have no idea, man. You I don't think you were around the days of like Ultimate Orange and stuff.
No,
you guys, when Red Bull very first came out, I was working at a bar, and they were trying to get into bars. They gave samples out, and I don't remember if this ever made it to like the full production when they were in stores, or if it was just really, really early. But it had ephedrine in it. It was ephedrine and caffeine, and that was like the late '90s again when everything had ephedrine in it. But I remember guys doing Jaeger bombs at the bar, and it was a wild weekend because guys were doing like 200 milligrams of ephedrine and a gram of caffeine, plus half a bottle of Jaeger. Oh man!
It's no wonder people were having heart attacks. Yeah, I don't remember what was in the Ultimate Orange. I think it was like 100 milligrams of ephedrine. Something like that.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
This is hilarious. Jacob was I used to use DMAA pills pre-workout, and I saw my heart rate was 170 to 180 warming up legs.
Yeah, DMAA was crazy. And then high tech pharmaceuticals actually they appealed the ban, and because they appealed it, they were allowed to use it in their products for like 2 or 3 years, more than anyone else was allowed to, because they appealed the ban.
Mini Thins, that's another good one.
I remember going to truck stops for those all the time.
Yeah, Mini Thins. Yeah.
White Crosses.
Yellow Jackets.
Yellow Jackets, yeah.
Wasn't there a product back in the day that had DNP as well in it? Wasn't it like yellow something?
Oh wow!
I remember it being like a yellow.
No, I don't know about that.
I remember. Well, Species had something that had a different metabolic uncoupler that worked through the same pathway, but it wasn't DNP.
DMP has been known as a toxin since the 20s.
But it would be yellow. I mean, it's also a yellow chemical dye.
Yeah,
I thought there was some old
to
product
make dynamite out of.
or they were trying to mimic it. Yeah,
it might. Yeah, I'm trying to think. What did Palumbo put in? That it worked through the same pathways. It's much weaker, but it was another metabolic uncoupler. I can't remember now. He had that in some product for a while in the mid 2000s.
Do you see people use that at all, Justin? Any longer? I know it
No,
used
it
to.
just no. There's you all like if it's nothing's too good to be true. I mean.
Hey guys, can I interrupt for just a second?
Yep.
sure.
Yeah.
So one of Kurt's clients is here.
Oh,
Yeah, you just won.
John McMinnis.
Yeah, he just won all of the things. He won novice, true novice. There he is.
What's up?
Hey,
There he is.
what's up?
Congrats.
Yeah, congratulations.
Congratulations.
They said congratulations.
His
That's
first show
awesome.
ever.
So
Very
nice to meet
cool.
you, John. Congratulations. So nice to meet you. That was so funny.
That's
Sorry,
fantastic.
keep going.
I love it.
So you're famous now, Amy. People recognize you.
I
Yeah.
know. I have myself muted because people are walking by and it's so loud. He came up. He's like, "Is your name Amy?"
That's fantastic.
Just wait until you get to the Olympia. You're going to have a fan club following you around.
Oh,
we
that
might
was
need
awesome.
security for
We'll
you.
have to put you behind the velvet rope.
Yes, I do. Colin, I need you here in your Birkenstocks, like running, here.
Yeah, nobody wants to get thrown out of the Olympia period, but you definitely don't want to get thrown out by a guy wearing Birkenstocks.
No, for sure, no. Oh, that was awesome.
Jake-
Congratulations, Kurt.
Thanks.
That's
He did
awesome.
really good. He suffered a lot.
Well, I know
Looks
Kurt
great.
pushes guys hard. You get guys in shape.
He was,
Yeah.
Yeah, he worked really hard, and it was one of those where like the real fat loss didn't occur until really late in the prep. I posted his picture of his back the other day.
Yeah, I remember.
Back. So he was a guy that like you would not expect to get a Christmas tree back, but he did it.
I call those cliff week clients, where it's like you're pushing, and then all of a sudden 1 week they fall off a cliff and that they change overnight.
Yeah, and then I had to bring his food up.
That's typically how I work, man.
Yeah,
Like, I don't see it.
yours runs away in a hurry. Your metabolism.
Yeah, that's usually how I work. This is hilarious. Jacob says Yellow Jackets would make you sweat butter. I remember that, man. Like you'd have like the greasy sweats.
Oh, weird.
Jacob's my guy too.
Looking that up.
Oh, is he? That's hilarious. Yeah, it was. I remember those Yellow Jackets, man. Those things were fucking insane, man. Trucker meth. That's what
Oh,
we
yeah.
would call them. You guys, I'm almost reluctant to talk about this, but it's just too good not to fucking talk about. You guys been paying attention to this drama between Dave Palumbo and Marc Lobliner?
I'll be honest. I saw it when I was scrolling through, but I was like, this just looks too stupid for me, and I kept going. Well, thankfully, you have been keeping up with it. So
oh my god, I've just been watching and laughing in the background because it's devolved to the point of talking about who has the smaller dick. It's gotten to that level,
which is crazy because it started as such a high level intellectual argument. To hear that it's devolved into that is just sad.
Anyway, it all kind of started. Dave's buddy Armand, the guy that's on his podcast with him, posted some absolutely ridiculous Photoshop pictures of himself up, and Marc Lobliner called him out for it. And then it just like got into this back and forth between those two. And
you got to show the picture.
I got to show the picture of Armand.
One thing we know is one of the two is going to come out the winner, and we'll all respect him for it.
Oh yeah, of course.
That's what happens with every internet argument.
100%.
I'm just picturing Dave Palumbo like analyzing dick pics on Google. Just trying to find the real.
Yeah, using the iPhone measure thing.
Yeah,
I got it. Solid evidence right here.
Oh my god, these pictures. They look about as natural as a Just for Hair commercial.
I mean, Armand seems like a nice enough guy. I don't mean to criticize the dude, but this is his competition pick from this past week. He's got some really bad diastasis and. I know he's had a bunch of surgeries, whatever. We're all old. All of us old bodybuilders have shit, but this is his pick that he posted up on his profile that Marc Lobliner went after.
Oh man! So he overdied it for the show.
It looks like a 3D print
AI render of 3 years ago.
Yeah, his face looks all doctored up too.
Everything. Well, Mark focused on the midsection, and I'm not talking about the abs.
Yeah.
That was the part that Mark called out, and then Dave got very, very upset about that.
Oh,
and it's like, but you can see like if doctored up the abs or whatever. But the comment section on this thing, if you want a good laugh, goes. I mean, he like doubled down. Armand doubled down on it, like he posted.
We have stage photos. Why do people do that?
Yeah,
I don't know, but this seems like for all the ignorant people, this is obviously shopped or edited. You hear a lot of people always complaining about their problems. All they do is complain about ups and downs. But anyway, he goes on like, "Don't judge me. God is good. Do the right thing. Dishonesty sucks." Hashtag. I'm like, really? But the comment section is just absolute gold. I mean, there's just people are just ripping the dude. I have to give it to him. He doubled down on it and went back to it. But anyway, Dave posted a thing up going back after him and questioning his size of his junk, and it's just gotten to epic proportions of hilarious, and the whole thing's ridiculous.
Well, it looks like his shorts are hiked up on the front of his quads. Weird, like it just doesn't pass the eye test. Yeah, exactly, right there.
No, that's definitely not real, man.
No, I know, but it's like so
Uncanny Valley shit.
It looks like a bad video game avatar.
Yeah, it looks like something out of like
NBA 2K.
Wolfenstein 3D or some shit. What is that?
His arm that's on the right looks smaller than the left. It doesn't even look right.
Oh man, but the whole drama back and forth with it is just hilarious. I hate getting involved in drama, but this one was just too good.
They made the shadow of his dick even bigger too.
Attention to detail.
Yeah. It's got to be some AI generated stuff. Some of the AI generated things are hilarious. I had people giving me shit about my stage pics. They're like, "These were photoshopped. You made yourself look bigger than what you are." And I'm like, dude, I paid for the professional photos. What do you think they're doing? I'm like, I guess they must have photoshopped them so good it fooled the judges.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul, can I ask a question before I forget? It's a little off topic. I wanted to ask you about the other day in your member site when you had done the blood work video. You had mentioned about what to be wary of for prolactin. And you had mentioned that kratom is potentially something that could raise prolactin levels, I think is what you had said.
Yeah, I've seen some guys that run kratom come back with crazy high prolactin levels. I'm not sure what Kurt might know better than me what the mechanism is that causes that. But I have definitely seen dudes on kratom that come back with high prolactin levels.
Huh. 'Cause I've been using kratom a little bit for sleep, and it's been working wonders, but there's not a lot of information about negatives out there there's really not a ton of information, to be honest. It just seems like a lot of bashing of kratom is all you can really find on the internet. So
yeah, the kratom's a weird one because it's either people want it to be, because it has a use case. It's an opioid. I mean, it really is, but it does some, pain killing it, and it's not like it's not heroin level opioid. So you get the people. It's kind of like pit bulls. Like the pit bull lovers will, fight to the death. Ryan doesn't agree. You can make me a face like I'm retarded. Like the people who like it will will never say anything bad about it and won't admit that there's any possible for anything bad. And then the people who don't like it won't even listen to any of the potential upsides. It's an interesting mix. It's weird that people seem to be so one or the other with it.
So here's what it is. It says that. It said, since opioids are known to produce similar effects, we hypothesize that kratom, by virtue of binding to the activating opioid receptor, raises prolactin as a result.
I know tramadol. I've had clients on tramadol with high prolactin. I know that, so maybe that's the same mechanism.
Sorry.
Kurt, I was going to ask you, we were talking about blood work the other day, but with kratom raising prolactin levels, which I've seen on blood panels before. And from what I understand, it's how it binds to the opioid receptor that it causes the raise in prolactin. Do you know anything about that?
And it's going to cause hypogonadism too. So because the reduction in androgens is going to cause a rise, like then the ratio of estrogen goes up. So prolactin in men only goes up with high estrogen or low T3 or with an adenema. So it's because you've bound to the opioid receptor as well, but you've also caused hypogonadism. So like if you're using steroids and you're using kratom, it's kind of counterproductive, especially if you're using something that's very estrogenic.
Yeah, I tried it one time, man. I did not like it. I did not feel good.
The reason why you see prolactin in women get skewed more often too is because their estrogen goes up and down more frequently than a man's, at least it's supposed to.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest. I'm mixed on I'm mixed kind of reviews on myself, to be honest, because I'm a recovering alcoholic. I think a few of you I've mentioned that before. So I have to be careful with things that are going to mess with me. So, but I found that if I do a low dose, I get a little energy bump. If I do a kind of on the larger end of the dose, I do get a relaxation. And I was looking for something to kind of get my anxiety down. To be honest, I talked about in one of my last videos that I just didn't want to go to a doctor and get put on like Xanax for being, just hyped up and wound up. So I started using it and it was working, but I'm a little nervous of obviously being a bodybuilder with raising my prolactin level. So I'm wondering if it's something I should spot use, stay completely away from, or lower.
Be careful with the anxiety too, because high doses can really trigger anxiety. And as your tolerance builds up, people will kind of creep up their dosage without really realizing it. I had a client really have a bad episode with anxiety like the day before a contest, very, very bad, like rough situation. And come to find out he had been using kratom throughout prep. And his dose was like ridiculous by the end because the tolerance built up pretty quickly.
I do know a lot of guys come to me say that they're using it on prep to help with sleep, and I usually try to steer them away from it if I can. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't like fucking with anything that's going to tickle the opioid receptor.
Well, I just think it's too risky because the tolerance buildup is so fast, and it does have benefits. I mean, it'll make you sleepy. You'll sleep good. You'll feel calm, relaxed. And so if, to keep getting that same effect, you have to increase the dose much faster than you would, any other product that produces similar results. And so I think that's the real risk is that, it's got a great use case if you're using a low dose periodically to get some sleep when you need it, but that's kind of around. I'm a little lower than that, but that's around where my client was.
I've heard a lot more just anecdotally bad things about like bad user experiences from people who've used Kratom than good ones. And, you know, not, I realize this is anecdotal, but you got to realize the crowds I run with, Dave. I know a lot of people who are trying stuff. And the only good story I ever heard from Kratom, or heard about Kratom, was from a former heroin addict and who had become an alcoholic. I guess he was always an alcoholic too, but like he was mostly into heroin for a bit, got off the heroin, started drinking really heavily, and he claims that he used Kratom to help him stop drinking.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, I'll be honest. What I'm trying to do too is, if I'm being completely transparent, there's some times where I get to a point, like I work my ass off, you know, 7 days a week, and I'm just, sometimes I'll come home or start my day off and I'm really wound up. You know, you got employees, life, things get in the way, and I'm trying to avoid slipping up with my alcohol. You know, I'm coming up on 4 years. So trying to, without having to do a pharmaceutical route with my doctor. So I tried like ashwagandha at higher doses. I've been trying a little bit of kratom. You know, right,
kava root.
I haven't tried that, but
Kava
I have noticed kratom's
with
been
kratom
working.
I had, there's a product in our area I tried that's in gas stations, and it's kratom with kava, and it seemed to make the sleepiness effects dramatically stronger.
Oh.
It was something to try.
Yeah. I've tried it 20 years ago or whatever. Like it chilled me out a bit. Maybe it'll help. I don't know.
You know what helped me sleep really good on this prep?
What?
Propofol?
Not using fucking Tren. My sleep never really got that bad. I had a couple rough nights, but for the most part, everything was great.
Propofol. That's a great answer.
The Michael Jackson solution.
Yeah.
Go to sleep, but forever. That's not advice, folks. We're just making a joke. This is satire. Amy's probably familiar with Propofol, working in a plastic surgery practice.
Yep. We use Propofol. It's good, but if it puts you to sleep too much, it's not good. You got to be just the right amount of sleep.
Just a little bit. Yeah, I think that's pretty common, right, for plastic surgery. That's what they use.
I think that's what most common anesthesia or general. I think, I don't know.
Yeah, we use it for a lot of our procedures, even with general anesthesia. They'll still use propofol just because it's a little bit easier to balance things out with propofol. So it's pretty common.
I find anesthesia very fascinating. Like Kurt, you would know. Like they don't even understand 100% how half the shit works, right?
I mean, most of the stuff they do now, and they can reverse it quickly. But
I remember a buddy of mine was an anesthesiologist. He's like, they're not even sure by the mechanisms about how some of the stuff even knocks you out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the full kinetics of most drugs.
It's a weird feeling getting when you're out and then wake up, and it's like you just literally it's different than sleep. Sleep, you wake up and you have some sense that time passed. Anesthesia, it's a weird feeling. It's like you just didn't exist for a period of time.
Yeah,
well, it's like you've been unplugged from the matrix.
With you too. If you use Versed, it erases your ability to form memory, so then you'd have no sense of like anything lapsing. So they do that in case you wake up during surgery too, which happens. You don't recall what you're doing.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I told you guys before about that time that I actually could hear shit when I was out.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't feel anything, thank God, but I was aware of what was going on. I could hear shit. Yeah, so I had to tell them
What surgery was it?
It was the first time I had my gyno surgery.
Oh, wow. There was an anesthesiologist there for that surgery?
Yeah.
He should have been watching. He could probably see that on your monitor, that you could that you hear it.
I don't know.
He was actually probably taking drugs himself. 1 in 4, these 1 in 4 nurse anesthetists becomes addicted to drugs while as a CRNA.
That's crazy. Yeah, I woke up and I told him, I'm like, I could hear everything that was going on, and the guy was like, no, you didn't. And I'm like, yeah, I heard. I like named off the music they were playing in the background. And
That's
he
crazy.
was like, holy shit. Thank God I didn't feel any pain or anything, but it was a weird feeling, man. I was like kind of aware, but not. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm trying not to sneeze here.
I woke up before when they were still sewing my toe up from surgery, and that's about all I remember.
Huh.
Yeah.
I've had so many surgeries, so I usually tell them that, so they give me a little something extra when I go under now. I don't know what they do to me, but
Yeah.
I've had 5 knee operations, I think, something like that. Yeah, 5.
Just give them a good right hook, put them right down.
Oh, I think you'd be punching like when you're sleeping, like in your dreams. All slow.
Yeah.
My dad, that's a funny story, man. I was in high school. My dad tried to wake me up one time, and I decked him when I was coming out of his sleep, like in a panic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Jackie could tell you literally my reaction time. Like my reflexes are out of this world. Like I don't understand why I have reflexes the way I do, but like if I'm sleeping and she just touches me the wrong way or like pokes at me, like as a joke, I have to be careful I don't turn around and swing because the reflex. Like it makes me nervous sometimes. Like she doesn't tickle me anymore because I freak out so bad. I will literally start swinging.
That's a fun one to explain at the hospital.
Yeah.
Oh, she tickled me, and I gave her a black eye. I swear it was an accident.
You like whisper in her ear, like, and she answers. I tickled him.
I remember my ex-wife one time. She got her legs tied up in the cord on the vacuum cleaner and did a barrel roll down the stairs and busted her head open, had a black eye, her nose was all busted open, and I took her to the emergency room, and they wouldn't let me back with her. They thought they were like questioning her and questioning me.
She fell down the stairs.
She literally
fell down the stairs.
So clumsy.
Not shitting you. That's literally what happened. Yeah, that was a good one. They were treating me like I was a wife beater. All right, we want to get some questions in.
Let's do it.
What do we got up here? Colin Harding, you're the MC of questions.
I know. I'm sorry. I was thought I was being funny. All right. Dhruv Bali wants to know if we have thoughts on genetic engineering and its implications on bodybuilding. I thought that was kind of an interesting question.
I would imagine bodybuilding won't be the first thing the researchers focus on with that. Probably curing terminal diseases, but when they get to bodybuilders, it'll be interesting.
I just think it's the same sort of like idea of like who if steroids weren't a thing, like would the same people still be standing on the Olympia stage? I think yes. You know, I think you can engineer somebody to have ability at the genetic level that someone else might not have, but it's not going to, you know, give them the fire and the drive to want to succeed.
Yeah, they're gonna genetically engineer the perfect bodybuilder, and it's gonna turn out as the exact same DNA as Ronnie Coleman. Anyway,
I feel like I saw the genetically engineered perfect bodybuilder recently. It looked like an AI generated image. Red shorts.
Diesel.
Diesel. Something was genetically engineered on that body. I don't know. And
oh man, we were doing the math the other day on how much KC Masterpiece that Ronnie Coleman ate. Like I was watching some of it, like he was going through like a half a bottle a day. I've heard rumors like as much as a full bottle. I was doing the math on it. He was eating like 1,500 calories of KC Masterpiece.
Oh yeah, he's doing a cup of it on every meal.
That's insane.
I heard that Chad would just assume and build that into his diets, like when he put his diets together.
Yeah, I imagine you had some wiggle room with him.
Yeah,
a little bit.
This is why I don't trust when people tell me they're not losing weight. When I like get them down to like no calories, I'm like, man, this is just like either you've got the world's shittiest fucking metabolism, or you're piling some sauces or something in here somewhere that's not getting accounted for.
Yeah, that's when it's chicken.
Oh, and
chicken breasts.
Yep, that happens. It's like people they think if it's not a food, it doesn't count. It's weird how it's not, maybe only 10 or 15% of people, but you'll get people that you would think they understand nutrition way more than to make that mistake. But I've come across it lots of times. Like
Well, you know
ketchup, especially. So many people think ketchup. They don't even think to count it.
You know what happens too? I got to tell clients with, they're like, oh, can I have coffee in the morning? I have to specify because their one triple latte with 1,000 calories destroys my deficit for the day. And I've had that problem, and shame on me for not thinking of it ahead of time, but I see that frequently.
Well, I know
I've had people will go through like multiple packs of not sugar-free. It's not very much. I think they're like 15 or 20 calories per, but you eat, you do 200, 250 calories a day of that. It's a difference maker.
Yeah.
I mean, the big offenders I've had, Colin already mentioned, is the goddamn chicken thighs. My God, if I had a nickel for every time I've had some dumb motherfucker eating chicken thighs instead of chicken breasts, and then wonder why they're not losing weight.
Either they do it or they ask to do it. It's okay if I substitute chicken thighs? No. I like the taste better. I know you like the taste better. Everyone does.
Or like when I say lean ground beef, 80-20 is not lean ground beef.
It's bison. So that means it's even if it's 80-20, it's only
ground bison. That's the one you get. It's ground bison, man.
It's still 15% fat. I can see it on the label. You sent me a picture.
What if I drain it? Yeah, I get that one, and then the condiments. It's usually those two are the condiments, or the dude that's just taking the peanut butter out by the scoop.
Measuring
it.
The only thing men will measure worse than their penis size is a spoonful of peanut butter. A level tablespoon of peanut butter is almost nothing.
Amy was sending me the pictures of her sad little squirt of peanut butter on her food. She's like, "Look, this is so delicious."
Oh, that's 6 grams.
Nothing more depressing than seeing how much. Yeah,
I'm like, it looks like a flea turd. I'm like, it's so small, so small. All right, what's the question we got here?
Sad Guru. The online info is very scattered on this. Should I split my T3 doses throughout the day? 75 micrograms. If so, what time of day is optimal? Thanks, guys. Love the show.
You shouldn't have to.
I can just say that in our clinic, when we prescribe T3, we prescribe it multiple times a day. The half-life seems to be shorter, and people seem to get better effects at least twice a day, if not 3 times a day for some people.
I mean, I'm going to preface this, and I always have to throw this garbage in the front. First of all, why are you taking 75 micrograms of T3? Like, is that from a doctor, or are you self-prescribing yourself? Because that's a lot of T3. Yeah. And most likely you don't need T3. Again, with all these kind of drugs, I'm super against people self-administering this kind of crap. I would say we typically would split it into 3 doses, but the problem is it has a ton of interactions. So you got to keep it away from B vitamins, fish oil, and D.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Your stomach. It's kind of a nightmare to take. You can take it as 1 dose too.
The half-life is weird. The half-life is pretty long, but it doesn't seem to be as long as like what the data sheets say. I think they say almost like a full day.
Yeah, so like 1 to 2 days typically.
And but people are different. So some people twice a day is fine, and I have some people who need it 3 times a day.
Yeah, but Ryan, and usually 75 micrograms.
No,
I mean, no.
Yeah. So Kurt, you're right. Like usually it's with combination of T4, because for some people their problem is that they can't convert T4 to T3. So in that case, you would need to add a little bit of T3. But you're right; it's usually not a large dose. It's usually coupled with T4.
Well, very rarely would I don't know if I want to get into that. I wouldn't generally prescribe T4 though, because T4 is like the idle in your car. It's not necessarily relevant unless there's an issue specifically with that. But T3 for a bodybuilder to me is like outside of show prep. And if a coach is telling you to do that, I would question why the coach has you using 75 micrograms. It seems high. Like, Paul, what's the most you've ever used?
100.
We used a lot for Paul's birthday.
How'd that work out for you?
Not well.
He had one of the biggest rebounds in history.
Was that the plan? That was calculated, huh?
Yeah.
Back in the mid 2000s, it was popular. Like a lot of people.
Oh yeah, everyone. It was standard.
Yeah, standard was 100 micrograms.
Yeah.
But you would take 20 microgram tablets, and you'd take it 5 times a day.
Yeah, it's effective, but a lot of people have this in their mind. They'll start with the 20 micrograms and they feel the need that they have to every week or every 2 weeks, they have to bump their dose. I mean, they're sometimes not paying attention to that little bit is all you need. It's kind of like what I've learned with Kurt from clenbuterol. Just because you're not feeling any side effects or jitters or anything, it doesn't mean that it's not working. It just means that you're adapting to the side effects, and you might have found your Goldilocks zone of your dosage.
Well, the other thing with T3 is, I think, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, even mid 2000s, a lot of it was real pharmaceutical 25 microgram T3, where now it's underground lab, and people trying to properly dose micrograms amounts in a capsule. When you're using like what's the smallest capsule, like 40, I mean, that's like 50 milligrams. So you got 25 micrograms mixed in with essentially 50 milligrams of or 5,000 micrograms of whatever you're like inert magnesium stearate or whatever you're using as a filler powder. And so I just feel like that's something that should be left to the pharmacies. Dude.
And one other thing I'd mention is just my opinion, but I'd stay away from liquid T3. I mean, God forbid you get to the bottom of the bottle and it's not mixed properly, and then you're taking 400 micrograms by accident. And you get
I think that's a mixed bag though, also, because I think other than that case, it's easier to dose micrograms in a liquid solution because you're going to get better dispersion. But like you said, if you get any settling of it, so it's better 99% of the time, and then really, really, really worse 1% of the time.
Sure.
Let's grab this question for Amy before she has to go.
I was thinking the same thing. DC81 for Amy, I've got to have my umbilical hernia repaired. Do you have any advice about this specific surgery, best practice, correct technique, etc.?
Well, general surgeons typically are going to just repair that through tiny little stab incisions. We typically repair umbilical hernias when we're doing a tummy tuck, so we don't do them by themselves. We refer those out to general surgeons. But, unless it's really bad, I would stay away from mesh if you can. Mesh just adds a lot of time. Sorry, they just broke something really loud behind me. Mesh is going to make your recovery a lot longer, and also can sometimes be palpable through the skin. So especially if you can eat and you get very, very relief, I would try to stay away from mesh. Just see if they can do the internal suturing without needing to use mesh would be my biggest tip. We definitely put mesh on people that are very lean, and you can almost visualize it for some time, and they can feel it, which is sometimes disconcerting. Other than that, it's a really simple surgery, very little downtime, little scarring, just little stabs.
I will say this about umbilical surgeries. I've seen so many of my clients blow them back out from going back into the gym soon. I've had like, it seems like 1 out of every 5 guys I have blow it back out and have to get it done again.
Bodybuilders are terrible about that. Like, I understand you love the gym and you want to be there, but you ruin the entire point of a surgery, and they do it for multiple things. Torn muscle repairs. It's like, I get that the gym is your safe space, but you got to know when to hold them.
I totally fucked up. I had a melanoma removed from my back, and doctor told me to take a month off from the gym to let that incision heal, and I was back in a week later doing rows, and my training partner at the time was like, "Bro, your back's bleeding," and I'm like, "What?" And I looked, and it just completely ripped it apart. It just pulled the stitches right through the thing. I went back into the surgeon who did it, and he's like, "Nothing we can do, man." It's
be like the Photoshop guy. Just be like, I didn't work out. I wasn't working out.
So now I got this giant scar on my back. People are like, "What is that?" On my back, but yeah, that's from doing exactly that. From bent over rows and blowing open a set of sutures. Yeah, that was a brilliant move. So yeah, I've been guilty of that one.
I wasn't what do we there got? For that, correct?
No, you were not there for that one.
Because I would have told you not to.
Right, Colin would stop.
That's how I know I wasn't there.
Run, guys.
All right, Amy. Good luck, Amy.
Good luck.
Thank you so much for letting me hang out with you today.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Good luck. Good luck.
Bye. Good luck.
Sorry, I got a bunch of guys in prep.
Okay.
Oh, I totally understand, man. I
went to Michigan Adventure yesterday, And right when we got there, very first ride, I forgot to put my phone in the cubby. We're going up the hill, the phone fell out. I got 2 guys competing today. They wouldn't let me get the phone. It was right over the rail. Like I could have leaned over and grabbed it, and they flipped out. And so I was like, I have work. I have to do that. I didn't explain what it was because I would have made it worse. But it would not let me lean over. And so then finally I was like, well, I'll just lean over when you're not looking. Then you guys can throw me out. She must have called every security person in the park there. There were 40 security people. and so when they got there, I was like, no, I said, I would lean over and grab it, but you would throw me out. Not that I will, but I was so pissed just sitting right there for hours.
I hate shit like that.
Oh man. Yeah. I hate like rules have a reason,
Yes.
like in this case, don't go over because you'll get hit by the thing,
Right.
Flying around. But like, I hate when people, you can't bend the rule in an obvious case where, it's like one of the
and the letter.
I could just wait till the car goes past. But even I'm 30 feet from any moving part.
Is prevent you from getting hit. Well, the spirits prevent them from getting sued.
Yeah. Exactly.
So getting hit. But it's like in reality, like you're just gonna get your phone. It's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
They can't.
I understand the reasoning.
People cannot be cool.
I don't even have to. I can stay on the sidewalk. I just have to lean over the fence.
Yeah.
That's why I don't ask for permission. I apologize after the fact. Oh, I didn't know.
Smart.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Man.
Kick me out? I got my phone.
I wasn't allowed to do that.
Oh, whoops. So DC81 sounds like Amy recommends the mesh. And
no,
if
she said avoid the mesh if you could.
Avoid the mesh. Okay, I thought she was just giving Justin advice with the mesh shirt. Okay, never mind.
I get it.
Okay. All right.
With the mesh shirt.
I mean, sometimes the mesh is necessary.
But she said you don't need the mesh. That's why I was confused because
I couldn't hear what she said. I thought she said you do want the mesh. Bummer. Fucked up my mesh joke.
Oh, sorry, man.
There'll be more.
I fucked it up.
I didn't realize there was a joke coming, man.
I appreciated it, Colin.
Thanks,
this is
buddy.
why I'm the straight man. I thought you were being.
I was waiting for y'all to stop talking so I could tell my silly joke. That's all I do here, guys.
God damn it! I messed it up.
Stepan Artuni, what are your thoughts on training volume and frequency? Do you think one set to failure can stimulate the growth?
Well, I mean, compared to 0 sets ever, one set will stimulate growth more. Is it optimal? As I get older, I get more annoyed, I think, with the people not trying to find the optimal training style, but trying to make the optimal training style some extreme version of training. It's like anything. It's very unlikely that what's optimal is going to be a full standard deviation from what everyone's doing one way or the other. I mean, maybe most people train with too much volume, maybe lower volume is better, but the idea of either extreme, like doing 100 sets per body part or doing only 1 separate body part, the likelihood that is the most optimal approach is probably very low.
Yeah, the determining factor there is your genetics. So the better your genetics are, your response to exercise, drugs, and training is improved. Yep. It doesn't mean those guys train like that. Ronnie Coleman could have just done 1 set. It'd probably be huge. He still did more, but if you're gifted, you don't need a ton. The less gifted people need more stimulus.
Mm-hmm.
I've honestly gotten to the point where
and if you're asking a question about training style, you're not in the gifted, because I guarantee Ronnie Coleman never had to ask questions about training. He just went in.
Yeah, but I will say that, like you said, Justin, it's the guys on the 2 ends of the extremes that always have the worst physiques, right? Like the 1 set guys don't look very good, and then you get those guys in every gym that does 20 sets of bicep curls and get 12 arms.
Yeah, it's just like anything. It'd be fun if that's the way the world worked, where you found something and you wanted to optimize it, and you had to pick one extreme or the other. And if you picked the right one, it was perfect. You picked the wrong one, but that's not how it works. There's bell curves for a reason. Everything has a normal distribution. Everything's basically a Gaussian or Lorentzian or some mathematical formula distribution that you can model, and it's always peaked in the middle.
Yeah, I kind of like the. I was going to say, I kind of like the Mike Izzutelli, he has that measurement system. The volume landmarks, he calls it, determining where your minimum effective volume is and then your maximum recoverable volume, and you want to live somewhere in the middle of that.
Yeah,
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
That's really the most common. I mean, and everybody has different volume landmarks, but you kind of like one of the things like he'll have people do, and I'm probably slaughtering this, so I apologize, Mike, but part of his training program, which I've done for several years, is you have to overextend yourself to figure out where that max is, and then you have to find out where the minimum effective. And there's certain landmarks that are common between people, but you figure out where that is, and then you just kind of dial it into the middle of that range. I don't know, like part of the, like what he was saying too, is like if you're progressing, why change anything?
Yeah, especially because it's hard to make clear and obvious progress in the sport.
Yeah.
No.
But and this isn't a comment at him because I don't know the guy, but a lot of people also feel like they're looking for the way to make this the easiest way possible, right? It's not like I want to train harder. How do I do that optimally? They're like, I don't really like going to the gym, so I want to do the easiest dumb shit that's going to make me as big as possible. It's like, unfortunately, it's going to take you 20 years and a ton of work and probably a ton of drugs. How big you want to get? Like, if there's
the story's been written. The sport's been around long
five
enough.
of us in here have probably been lifting over 100 years, probably 150 years.
Yeah, I also, like, this is sort of a controversial take. I've kind of gotten to the point where I think training out of the formula of PEDs, food, and training's probably the least important.
Yeah, it's a hard realization. It's a hard realization when you like training and you kind of consider yourself someone that trains hard and you think that's a major part of your success. But I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. For natural guys, it makes a bigger difference, right? Yeah. A lot of them overtrain or don't train hard enough, or
and they lose the PED aspect.
Does it really matter that much? Probably not.
No.
Right? Because that's why you can see within pro bodybuilders, there might be, like you said, there's a bell curve where most are somewhere in the middle, but you have Mike Mentzer on this side, right? And then you might have Francis Benfato on the other side that like did pump work, right? And they're both the same size, give or take. And like, that wasn't.
I don't know.
I always say training is for performance and nutrition is for appearance. And I use like you look like Tyson Fury, or Daniel Cormier, like baddest men on the planet, as far as performance and explosive power is concerned, very high level, and they look like doughboys, so like
Andy Ruiz.
I was just going to say, so Chris Beardsley has great research. I think the nuance is it's not an enhanced lifter, so you got to take that. His data is real, and it's really not refutable. It's just that it's not in the enhanced population because they don't study us.
I just want to clarify, like where he says trying to maximize gains. I wasn't bashing on anyone. I mean, I think we should all like try to find what's optimal. Yeah. I just feel like it's very unlikely a super extreme aspect is going to be at least at this point. If this was the 1940s and we knew nothing, like you might stumble upon some weird thing that worked, whole body every day or really low volume. But the sport's been around long enough, and the physiques have, everyone's kind of congregated in a bell curve for training, a bell curve of nutritional approaches for a reason. It's because the ones who didn't do somewhere in that bell curve didn't make it, It's almost like natural selection at this point.
I will say this, though. I think the big mistake I see a lot of amateur bodybuilders or guys that are trying to push hypertrophy make is that they don't train for hypertrophy. It's really weird to me. Like, you'll see powerlifters train very specifically for powerlifting. Olympic lifters will train very specifically for Olympic lifting. CrossFitters will train for their sport. And then you get these wannabe bodybuilders that are just all over the damn place. They can't figure out if they're a powerlifter or CrossFitter, or, they're swinging kettlebells when that probably doesn't do shit for bodybuilding. It's just like train with the intent for hypertrophy. Really, that's simple. And just do it consistently.
I think there's a layperson belief that strength and muscle size are like 1-to-1 correlated, and I think that's a lot of it. People just not realizing that hypertrophy isn't 1-to-1 correlated with strength.
I mean, I'm the biggest I've ever been, and my strength is not. I'm not the strongest I've ever been. That's for sure.
Yeah. But I think also who we're influenced by, right? So people watch guys on social media, like Mike O'Hearn does like power building. You know, no offense, Mike O'Hearn has fantastic genetics and a ton of gear. Sorry, Mike, ton of gear. And he's been doing this since before most of these guys were born.
He's old.
Like, he can do 3 reps on something and grow because he's got great genetics. That doesn't mean people need to copy that.
Right.
Wait, he says he doesn't use gear.
Famously,
he doesn't use gear. Yes.
Famously.
Really?
Sorry,
That's
Mike.
a shock. I didn't know he was natty.
I think one other thing too, when it comes to the one set the failure too. I mean, like myself, I've personally tried both the high intensity approach when I was younger, and I kind of have gravitated more to a higher volume training just in general. But I do know that both of them seem to work just as well for hypertrophy for me. But I found myself staying out of the gym and being more injured, obviously, with the higher intensity, and I couldn't recover the same way for the volume and frequency I wanted in a week's time doing high intensity.
Yeah, you got to pick your poison. You got to do one or the other. And then, like, when you're slinging heavier weights and going into lower rep ranges, you're going to be dinged up more. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah, and you have to be fed for it. Some people that train one meal in the morning and they're going to try to go in and hit a PR for their workout. You'd almost be better training towards the end of the night, building up a little bit more of your nutrition, building up that strength in my mind.
I see guys making the argument that heavy weights are not less prone to injury than being more I don't know. I just don't buy it.
Well, I mean, most injuries are at least somewhat load related. I mean, I think it's hard to argue that.
Mm.
I'm not going to hit a muscle under no load.
It's greatly person dependent. I mean, I've start people off with a certain kind of training style myself with my clients, but I've had even the most random people I don't expect that just do a lot better with a high intensity approach, and some people I think that are going to be doing great with a high intensity approach and just blow up with volume. And I think you really have to take into consideration how you recover from each style as well.
If you got your diet down in and you're taking enough gear, anything's possible.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got next?
See, our friend Brandon, are there any low carb noodles you'd recommend for mixing up your food choices in a long diet phase?
Zucchini.
That's actually pretty. Those aren't bad, but I will say, and everyone goes through this for their first prep or two. But there's no cheat code. There is no like low carb noodle that's going to fill you up and not make you hungry. It's just the way it is. It's everyone tries all those things their first couple preps, tries every little trick. But the hunger you'll have is not just completely correlated with whether or not your stomach is empty. It's a calorie depletion hunger. It's a different type of hunger than just the fact that your stomach, is empty. So stretching your stomach full isn't going to make you feel satiated.
Yeah.
Raylan is undefeated.
There's 2 types of hunger. There's true hunger and there's fake hunger. Fake hunger is when you start craving like dopamine response stuff like sweets.
Yeah.
When you're truly hungry and depleted, you actually start looking for healthy food because your body's telling you it needs nutrients.
I always say you'll know. I always say you'll know the second hunger when a plain bowl of oatmeal is enticing. I don't even need cinnamon. I'm just ready to eat.
Amy sent me a picture the other day of her bowl of chicken, rice, blueberries with peanut butter on top of it and said this might be the most delicious thing I've ever had. That's when you're hungry.
Every client, they always, after a show, their first cheat meal, they want to have a Quest bar. It's like almost ubiquitous. It always cracks me up. I'm like, you can eat anything right now, dude.
Not for nothing, I've been grilling. I know not everybody likes it, but spaghetti squash has been something I've been using a lot lately. And I'll literally cut it in half and put it on the grill and just let it soften up that way, and it's great.
Costco has these brown rice ramen noodles too that are lower calorie too. I've seen, but I mean, I don't know, whatever. I used to do that shit, Justin. I don't anymore.
I mean, just because it doesn't work. I mean, you just end up with like a full stomach, but you're still just as hungry. Because at that point you're hungry because of the depletion. Like Kurt said, you're not looking. The dopamine fix isn't gonna cure it. It's not like you're sitting around bored.
I will say this:
it's a legit hunger.
I do eat the fuck out of some pickles and drink some Coke Zeros when I'm on contest prep. I don't do that any other time of the year.
Oh, it's Coke Zeros I can put down. Cherry Coke Zeros, any diet, anything. They're all good.
Yeah, Kurt makes a good point though, because I mean, I see it all the time. People like, I'm hungry, and they're just hungry too quick in the beginning of a diet where it doesn't make any sense, and it's that dopamine chase that they're trying to get, and they're so used to rewarding themselves. When I get that craving, I reward myself, and it's a habit, and breaking that habit will at least eliminate one hunger variable for you.
It's such a mental thing too of now not being allowed to have it, and one funny thing that I always think is if like you have a half a liter bottle, like what are these? Like a half a liter is what, like 30 ounces? I don't know, but it's a lot. Yeah. So a half a liter, if you tell someone in the off season to drink a half liter of water with every meal, be like, oh my God, it's like, there's so much water. But then you have a guy in contest prep and they've been drinking, 8 liters a day, and you drop them to half a liter per meal, maybe the day before a show, they're telling you how thirsty they are. This is torture. It's funny because, and it's real. I mean, it's mostly just because now I can't have that water. In the off season, if I tell you to drink that much, you'll think it's too much water.
And body fat's an endocrine organ. It secretes hormones, right? So there's actually neurons, the same cells that are in your brain, in body fat. So it's communicating directly with your brain. So and it's secreting. And like you said in the beginning of a diet, when your hunger goes up, that's because leptin starts to go down, insulin starts to go down, and ghrelin goes up. It's just a survival mechanism. And it seems based on your set point where you've put it. So like you see it in guys that carry a lot of fat in the off season, and then they suffer more when they get to 12 or 15, right? And you have other guys that stay leaner. You can get them super lean before they suffer, right? Their glutes will come in before they're miserable. Milos talked about it the other day. He said he competed when he was a pro in whatever 15 to 20 shows a year. So he was never out of shape, and he said he never suffered. Because the time you suffer is when you lose 40 pounds.
Yeah.
The moral of the story, don't get fat. If you don't get fat.
That's why guys learn. That's what the guys make it about 1 or 2 contests before they start doing the 25% body fat off seasons, or stop doing that. I mean, because those first, at the beginning, you just want to be big, but then you go through a couple preps like that, you realize it is not.
Yeah, I never felt like I was suffering at any point during prep this year.
It should be relatively smooth sailing if you don't get heavy.
Yeah, that's what I call second bodybuilding. When you've reached the next stage, you have enough muscle mass where you can eat a good amount of food without getting fat. You're over the cravings, and you eat for fuel at that point. And so your off season is planned out. You're not looking to eat junk. You don't get fat, and at that point, prep is not about starving anymore. It's about just being really precise with everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
There were a couple times I got hungry, but I don't think I ever really got to the point where I felt like I was going to die or just needed to eat something.
Yeah, I've been lucky so far myself. No real hunger.
Well, you've been eating a lot more food than you were last year.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, and you're already, you probably could be ready in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, you're pretty much almost there now. So you're ready early. That's a nice place to be, man.
Yeah.
I will say this: it is a weird feeling having to coast. I just it fucked with my head.
Yeah.
I'm not working hard enough, man.
That's a weird thing with prep, because prep, the best prep is so closely tied to what's really, really hard that your brain starts associating the difficulty or the torture with a good prep, and they don't always correlate. I mean, most preps are hard, but you see so many times that people start focusing on what they need to do is what's hardest, not what makes them look best. And I always say, we're trying to land a ship on an ocean cruiser. We want to land it. We could kamikaze and dive bomb into it, and because most of the flight you are flying at Mach 2 as fast as you can go, but at the end you got to make a nice soft landing. But it's hard to make that transition because so many people associate prep is hard, and so therefore hard is what's best.
Yeah, I have to get some people out of that mentality. Sometimes, usually people don't work hard enough. I say 90% of the time, but there are a few people that are victims of overworking.
Yeah, you get a former wrestler. You'll have to make sure they don't murder themselves in prep.
Yeah,
get a college wrestler.
I mean, you suffer in wrestling. I did that for a couple of years, and then I said, "Fuck this! I'm playing basketball." I remember going to basketball practice. And I was like, "Really? This was easy." Russ really wants us to answer his question, Colin. He's very eager.
I know. I added it to the queue. Shall we get to the other ticket that somebody's paid for first?
Yeah,
Jason I wanted to know if anyone has any information on the possibility of acquiring a CPAP
You
machine
can.
without
Justin
having a
does.
sleep study done. I don't know if anybody knows
You
anything.
can. It's just like buying any of the stuff we buy online without a prescription. I mean, there are places that sell it. You know,
Or you can
it
just-
doesn't take hard. I mean, the likelihood that you're going to know the correct setting, and you're probably going to think you need either too little or too much, and you're going to wake up with a stomach full of air.
I've had that happen.
Yeah, and you're gonna, without insurance, you're gonna pay $1,500, $2,000 for the machine. So you're not really saving money if you have insurance. By the time you cut, insurance pays for some of the machine and your visits, it may be still even cheaper to go through the doctor route. But you can find them online.
Is your wife still doing the CPAP
Yeah,
machines?
yeah. If you can, and actually, if you want to bypass everything, if you go to troponanutrition.com. And do the sleep analysis. My wife specializes in sleep dentistry, and she can get you set up with everything. It's just a one-time virtual consult. It's not hard to find out if someone has sleep apnea. I mean, we all have that buddy who snores when he's sitting in a chair. You know he has it.
Colin.
It's just a matter of getting the proper referral from a doctor. But we can do that through Troponin Nutrition.
Yeah, it's just easier just to do that. I need to get a new machine at some point, so I probably should talk to Jory.
I think Chase had some information on CPAPs as well for another resource. I forget what the website was called.
CPAP My Way was the place that Chase was getting his stuff from, but they do the same thing. They send you a home sleep study.
Oh, okay.
I think it was like $100, and then they have a doctor look at it, and you get a machine. They sell used machines, so you can, if you really are intent on bypassing the doctor and being cheap, just look on Craigslist. There's 1,000,001 people selling them.
Yeah.
If you don't mind somebody's used a CPAP machine.
Well, you can buy tubing. I don't think you need a script for the tubing, right? Or do you even for that?
No, you can get the tubing. All right, what do we got left here?
Imagine buying a CPAP machine off Craigslist. You meet some interesting people in Walmart parking lots too.
Yeah, I wonder what kind of business you could do flipping those.
Good way to meet new friends, folks.
Yeah. Russ, Paul, my coach is having me continue creatine into my show. What are your thoughts on using creatine and Stims pre-contest?
Oh man, I don't like giving people advice.
I don't like change. I mean, listen to your coach for one. Don't listen to us. But if you're taking it right now, you know what you look like on it. You don't know what you look like if you remove it.
And the water from creatine is intramuscular. It's not under the skin.
Yeah. But I just think what you look like with it. You can't guarantee what it's going to do to your physique when you remove it. So unless you can guarantee removing something there's zero chance that you look worse for removing it, which I don't think you can say in this case, then I don't change. I don't like to pull anything out the last week.
Yeah, not for nothing. Milos loads his guys on like 50, 60 grams of creatine around.
Like Chris said, it's in the muscle. I mean, it's not, and if you don't have body fat, there's going to be really no sub-Q water from it.
Yeah.
Am I the only person that doesn't use creatine?
I don't use it either.
I don't use it.
I always like it when I use it. It's just I never think. Actually, well, we produce it now. I could just grab a bottle, but I just always forget about it.
Yeah, I put it in. I put your stuff in my stack every pre-workout. Just habit,
It's a great. Really. There's no downside. It fills your muscles up. Probably. There was worry about dehydration, risk of injury, but I'd argue there's a reduced risk of injury because of the fluid retention. Yeah, and so it works. And it does a very predictable thing. You'll get stronger pretty quick. Muscle will look fuller pretty quick, and then you'll hold that. And it's not expensive. So it's really. If there's one product everyone should use, it's probably that. It's just an easy one to forget because it's been around so long.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell
the neuroprotective.
Yeah.
I will tell guys this before you get your blood panels done. Usually I yank it for a few days because it will show up as you'll show up as elevated creatinine on your blood panels with it, and doctors freak out.
Yeah, I'd say, Russ, try to not change as many variables as possible close to the show.
Everything you change has a chance of making you worse.
Yeah.
Usually when somebody's seeking out advice from somebody besides their coach, they're almost always going to make things worse.
Yeah.
That's just, we were talking about that beforehand.
You guys are probably all the same. We all coach. like if I ask a client to do something and they don't understand it, I'll always explain why.
Yeah.
Just ask your coach why he wants you to use it. If he can't come to you a good reason, then maybe find a different coach.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you should have as much confidence in what you're doing as he does. And if he can't instill that confidence by explaining it, then like Kurt said, maybe find a different coach.
Yeah, and if they have a good understanding, the client, of what's the game plan, it's easier to follow. It's easier to have
for
faith
sure.
in,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. If you're confident, if you're confident that you're doing the right thing, then you're not worried that you're doing the wrong thing. I mean, it's I don't understand coaches that I hate the just trust the process. You'll never hear me say that.
Just ask
I'll explain the process so you don't have to trust it. You understand it.
Yeah, I hate trust the process too. Usually when I hear somebody say, a coach say trust the process, it's because they don't fucking understand what's going on.
Not usually. It's pretty much 100%.
That's code for that.
Yeah.
That's code for I don't know the answer to the question. Shut the
This
fuck
worked
up.
before. I don't know why. And I'm hoping it works again.
Oh man.
I like Brandon's response in the comment. He coaches himself and he questions everything that effer makes.
Oh yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah, that's the bad. Oh god, that's the bad. That's why, like, people are asking me all the time, why do I have a coach? And I'm like, because I can't fucking trust him as.
Yeah, that's why every coach has a coach. It's almost no one that's competing at like the national level or pros doesn't have the knowledge or ability to get themselves in shape. They know what to eat. They know to eat clean food. They know to do cardio. It's to prevent that because you outsource your logic basically near the end of prep.
I'll be honest, man. I was like in a panic going into the show this year. I'm like, man, I do not look as good as I did at.
Well,
Masters
I'm going to be
USA.
honest. I was too. When you were at the show all day, the day before, and you sent pics, I was stressing a little bit, but luckily you shut your brains out and all worked out.
I mean, the comparison pics I put up from this one to Masters USA's, it was night and day. Although the tan there sucked and the lighting sucked, so that made a difference too. But
no, you were really polished. I mean, even the oil, everything was very good, and you can see how much of a difference that makes. I always remember Mark Dugdale in 2004 at the USA's as a light heavyweight. He was in great shape, but his tan and oil was just spot on. And I remember it stood out so much from everyone else. He won the overall, as a light heavy, and it was.
I had them. I went back before finals, and I had them put a new coat on me, and I also had her put 2 coats of the shine on me too.
Yeah, I always say if you can, tell them you have some disease that absorbs the tan and you need an extra coat because darker is always better.
That's what I did. I had 3 coats, and they were really, really cool about it. And then the whatever the shine stuff is they do back there. The girl, I'm like, can you put a little extra on me? And she did a double coat, let me dry up, and then put another one on me.
Did you notice anything different with aldactone when it came to your skin quality? Soaking up the tan or being drier skin?
I don't know, not really. I don't
No,
think it made any
It's
difference.
it's often used as an acne medication, especially females.
Right.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if it dried them out and made it soak in the tan a little bit too much.
I had a lot of problems with the tan sticking to my armpits. You can even see it in the finals when I was doing my double bicep that it wasn't safe. I didn't use deodorant for a week going into the show. That is by the way, backstage at a show, that is a lovely mix of smells. You have the sweet smell, the tan, the stale farts, and then dudes haven't worn deodorant in like a week. So it's the I'm dehydrated and eating protein farts backstage. All right, we want to grab one last one, and then I got to cut out of here.
All right. Well, if it's just one last one, I guess we should pick the most important one, huh? We got Joseph Becker. My wife is going to start lifting with me soon. Any recommendations for help on chest supported exercises?
Yeah, I don't know that we can make
huge knockers.
Well, I don't know that we can make an educated decision without video.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, what you need is a couple of spotters. You got one guy on one side, one guy on the other side. We'll keep them spread apart so she can use the chest-supported fly machine.
Yeah, I mean that is an issue.
Village is what I'm saying.
I've seen like set the seat up high so you're kind of over them, or you might just not be able to do chest-supported exercises if she's that busty. Well, like I said, without video evidence, it's hard to say.
How Busty exactly specifically.
Colin is the foremost expert on necessity.
Colin Harding, 1982 at Gmail. Just I want to help.
And that, folks, that is our expert advice here. We appreciate each and every one of you.
Thank you.